Hi, I'm April Murphy from Carnegie Learning, and I'm going to give a brief overview of UpGrade, our open source platform for conducting large-scale A/B tests in educational software. So as a company who's used evidence to support improving educational outcomes from the beginning, and also as members of the learning engineering community, we at Carnegie Learning are super strong supporters of the community's overall goals of leveraging data and research towards continuous improvement of learning experiences. And one way to try to impact those outcomes is by field testing improvements at scale with software that's used in real classrooms. And we developed this platform UpGrade as a way to do this. So we know that educational software is always changing, whether by different use cases or different learning models. And we need a better, more rigorous approach to knowing which kinds of changes really do lead to measurable improvements in learning. You can do this kind of work in an academic setting, but typical research projects of this nature tend to be pretty slow moving or very sensitive to timing of your experiments with specific points in the school year. So, one of our goals with UpGrade supporting this is to facilitate doing this kind of field testing rapidly and at scale without some of the constraints of a typical research cycle. Okay, so doing A/B testing in real classrooms is actually really hard for other reasons too. So most A/B testing that you might be familiar with, like that is used kind of everywhere in web marketing by Facebook, Amazon, pretty much every big tech company. This kind of A/B testing really only needs to worry about individuals, a single person going to a website, for instance. But in educational contexts, of course, we know that learners are embedded in groups. They are in classes, they have teachers, schools, districts. So, one of our big challenges is to ensure that students have consistent learning experiences within those groups. Another challenge when doing A/B testing in real classrooms is if learners are using adaptive software and, the learners might be working at their own pace, they reach the relevant content asynchronously. We need a way to manage logistics of experiment behavior when content is encountered this way. Something that you can't do very easily with individual types of A/B testing. So here's a slightly more concrete example of why we need to think about group random assignment in classroom settings. So if we are trying to test two different models of fraction learning, teachers might feel burdened if they have to support two different approaches within the same class. They would have to become familiar with the different models themselves, and also keep track of which students are assigned which experience. The students themselves might perceive that other people are getting different experiences than they are, and it can impact their own learning. So UpGrade accommodates this by allowing for group random assignment, meaning that you can assign students to a specific condition according to their group, like class or school. This is really a key feature, again, that distinguishes UpGrade from other, kind of off-the-shelf A/B platforms. So in this scenario with the fraction models, you might want to choose to set the unit of assignment to be grouped by class. So all the students in the same class will have consistent rather than conflicting learning experiences. And then when we're dealing with adaptive software, let's say student one here reaches this content that's being A/B tested, called fraction division, and they reach that content before the experiment starts running, which is in the orange square here. So we, the experimenters, need to make some decisions ahead of time about whether and how to maintain consistency of experience for the rest of the class. UpGrade has a parameter called the consistency rule that allows us to choose whether and how to maintain consistency in this scenario. So in this example, there are different choices the experimenter can make, which all have different consequences in terms of who might be excluded from the experiment, whether it's an individual student, the entire class, and in general, how the experiment should behave. Importantly, UpGrade doesn't actually make these decisions for you, but it provides the flexibility to accommodate different scenarios and allows you to make decisions based on whatever anomalies might occur or how you want the experiment to behave. It also has parameter settings that can address what to do when a student changes classes or if a student is in multiple classes and the classes are assigned different conditions. So in the UpGrade UI, there's a simple dashboard that allows experimenters to monitor participant enrollment in the experiment and review, for instance, how many participants are being assigned a condition over time. There's also a simple view for tracking metrics collected by the educational app. So if your application collects data on error rate, for instance, it can share this with UpGrade so it can then be viewed on the dashboard. So very quickly, in terms of actual architecture, UpGrade operates as a web service that is totally separate from the educational app with which it's integrated. It doesn't collect or store any personally identifiable information about students. And it really acts primarily as a layer for managing experimental design parameters and logistics. So you don't have to instrument experimental design within your own application. Specifically for group random assignment, it can connect with an external roster service to acquire relevant student group data, unless your application already has roster information, in which case you could just share that info directly with UpGrade. So just to quickly recap, the key features, again, of the UpGrade platform are its ability to support group assignment, class, school, any kind of group that you define, and also to manage consistency of learning experiences and other handling of experiment behavior. It does all of this through a simple web-based UI for setting up the experiment design parameters, and includes a simple dashboard to track participant enrollment and simple metrics. You can see our website right there, upgradeplatform.org. I am now going to show you a very quick demo of the UpGrade user interface. The UpGrade server connects to your specified educational software, and experiments are created in a web-based UI. You can begin by clicking Add an Experiment and entering parameters. For the sake of time, we will walk through an existing experiment. I want to highlight two important features of UpGrade that distinguish it from other A/B testing platforms. First, the ability to assign students to conditions by group random assignment, such as class or school, as a way to ensure that students receive consistent learning experiences. The second key feature of UpGrade is the consistency rule, which controls experiment behavior relevant to adaptive AI-driven software. In self-paced and adaptive systems, students in the same group may encounter learning experiences at different times, meaning that if a student encounters relevant content before the experiment starts running, setting group consistency excludes the rest of the class from the experiment. Or in the case of individual consistency, only excludes the single student who reached content first, not the rest of the class. In experiment consistency, students will receive the condition appropriate to their group assignment, even if it violates individual consistency. Context refers to the application that UpGrade communicates with. The second page shows additional parameters to set. Experiment point refers to the place in the software code where the experiment is triggered to begin. You can also set start and end criteria. Finally, the post-experiment rule allows the researcher to continue a student's condition assignment, revert to default behavior, or move all students to a single condition. In this example, we did a simple manipulation of moving the divider pane location from the middle to the left in our Mathia software. But UpGrade can accommodate many different types of experiment, from UI features to instructional models, algorithm changes, and more. If you'd like to learn more or get in touch with us, please visit upgradeplatform.org or email upgradeplatform@carnegielearning.com.